I've always felt a need and a compelling desire to volunteer somewhere. And I mean, I love animals. That's what first brought me to it. What people can expect whenever they come in for an orientation, they come to our educational center. I give a presentation using a projector and PowerPoint, and that lasts for about half hour or so. We go on a tour of the building so everyone knows where everything is, and then we break off into groups depending on people's interests. So if you want to handle dogs, you go with a dog orientation. You want to handle cats, cat orientation. And if you don't want to handle any animals at all, you just want to do general things around the shelter or perhaps like off-site adoption events, then I host the general orientation at that point.
Well, my wife and I, we've been there for about a year now. We lost both of our Akitas about a year ago, and we wanted to do something special, so we went to the society and started volunteering to take care of dogs. And we ended up being foster failures. We fostered a pit bull, and he's now a great dog, and he's the love of our life at the moment, so he's wonderful. And then at the shelter, they asked us to start training dogs, because we bring our pitty down here to A&B all the time for about a year now, and he's wonderful, he's doing great. And we took the skills they taught us here to the shelter, and now we're working with other dogs there. First of all, you have to learn to gain their trust. It's a big issue. So you have to hand feed them at times, get them into their confidence, and then take them out and you walk them, you try to bring them to you, retrievals, so they come up close to you so you're not reaching out and trying to grab the dog. It just takes a lot of effort. Luna, you want to say hi? Look at the camera. Say hi, baby. 4 weeks ago, she would change direction when corrected, try to go to the person who was handling her, not to the, not actually enforce what she's taught. And now, a lot of people can walk her, take care of her, and she's just improved so much, amazingly how much she's improved. We try to do the best we can. We're just volunteers, but we do the best we can.
I foster cats and kittens. I do other things as far as rescue is concerned. For example, there are animal advocates, which is down in West End. They do a lot of rescuing out of other states. So I do transporting too of animals coming from, and that's generally dogs. Sometimes I do transports of cats. I like to do, well, when you do a behavior foster, it's generally just for a cat that's very, very scared in the shelter. And you have to make them a little bit braver. So you take them home and you get them used to moving again, and then they come back here again. It really works. Not quite sure why all the time, but it really does. The other thing is if a cat sometimes is in a shelter too long, it'll get a little cage crazy and it'll kind of shut down. It gets used to all the noise and all this stuff, and it doesn't show well then. It just kind of shuts down. Dogs will do it too. They get a little cage crazy and then they stop showing well and nobody looks at them to adopt them. So you can take a cat like that home maybe 2-3 weeks, and they sleep on your bed, they get pampered for a couple weeks, and it's like, okay, feel better now, and take them back to the shelter, and they usually get adopted quickly that way. I've done several of those, and it just amazes me that the turnaround in the temperament, just from being cage crazy. So I like to do those. And then the other stuff is just old cats that I take home and give them a cage break. And several of those I've failed with and, adopted those. A couple of them. I have a house full of old animals. This is probably the first time he's been out in hell. And animal rescuers know how to respond when people say, well, how can you foster? And our response is generally, how can you not? Because if you don't, they could die. How can you not? So if you're an animal lover, it's the easiest thing to do. There's no decision to make. Come on. What do you think, buddy? The cats that first come in are in the back, in the holding area back there. And when they're sociable and there's an empty cage, then they can come out to be adopted. But there are cats back there that are very, very, very frightened. So I would like to have people to work with those cats to help them get used to the place rather than them just sitting there and staying frightened. There are a lot of things we can do to work with them to get them adoptable. Because the whole goal, of course, is to get these animals adopted, get them into a home. Then we'll never see them again. That's the goal here. So we want to get them socializing and friendly, because those are the ones that get adopted, the ones that stick their paw out and say, hey, look at me. That one there, that's the one.
You get to grow with these animals, and you really get to see that you make a difference. And if you're able to hold that cat, that means that cat's going to be that much more adoptable for someone else. So people really get a sense of accomplishment because you do see it over time. Even if you only get to hang out with an animal for one time when you volunteer, that helped that animal be more sociable towards people for its forever home. And then there are a lot of volunteers that they want to do things, right? They want that satisfaction. I want to help out animals, but it's going to be too sad. I can't walk all these dogs. I'm going to want to take all of them home. I can't hold these cats. I'm going to want to adopt them all. And that's why I try to get other people involved in these general things, because there are so many other things to do. Without volunteers, so many things wouldn't get done, because the volunteers allow the staff to do the things that they're trained and qualified to do and further help animals.